who was often referred to as the Santa Claus of music. Well, today I want to tell you about a Finnish composer and conductor by the name of Leif Segerstam. He was born in 1944 in the city of Vasa in Finland. We don't know a lot about his early childhood. We do know that he was provided a lot of access to different instruments. He was a multi-instrumentalist, violin, piano, viola, and he loved music. And what we do know is that he just had this innate, it wasn't just that music was a passion, it was just how he spoke. It was just his language. By the 1960s, he went to the Sibelius Academy, which is the highest music academy in Finland, and he studied violin, but he didn't limit himself to that. He also studied other instruments, as well as composition and conducting. After that, he even went to New York and studied some there, just so that he could broaden his horizon musically and have influences of different cultures. After his education, he started working as an instrumentalist performing, but he quickly arose to be a conductor. He had an unmistakable flair, and he was grand, and he wasn't so much about the precision of each note. He was about the whole sound, like a wall of the music, the expressiveness, the bigness of it. And he didn't just stick to conducting, though he conducted a lot, but he never stopped composing because that was really, he was such a creative. He wanted his voice and his music heard, and he wanted to conduct it as well. Being able to play different instruments and having performed different instruments inside the symphony, he understood the sound so well, how everything formed together from the inside out. And so he was phenomenal at conducting, but also at being able to compose, having such a clear understanding, not just of each instrument, but how they flow together, how they sound together. And then this passion that he had. He started getting this reputation to be this very eccentric conductor. He wasn't one to just show up to rehearsals and go for it. He was known to be unpredictable, eccentric, maybe quirky if people were being nice. He didn't just want to conduct the music, he inhabited the music. He could just suddenly fly off the handle. He wasn't violent or anything, but he was just so passionate about what he wanted. There are lots of videos out there. You should go watch him. It is quite entertaining. As a conductor, he didn't just have one symphony that he conducted. He was a traveling conductor, and he was really well known, especially for big works, like big symphony, not so much like chamber works or small ones. That was his thing. Some of the places that he conducted, of course, the Finnish, right, the Helsinki Symphony, but also even the Chicago Symphony, the Royal Swedish Opera, the Danish National Radio Symphony, even the famed Vienna Philharmonic, the Met Opera, like so many places that are so well known that it's such an honor to be able to go to just one of these, but he was invited to all of them. Besides traveling the world to conduct, he also would go back home because he held a teaching position from the place that he himself graduated from. So at the Sibelius Academy, and he started teaching conducting. This work for him was not an aside. Mentoring new students into conducting and performing great pieces of music. He was just as passionate about that as he was about his conducting and as he was about his compositions. Now, let me tell you about him as a composer. He wrote symphonies as though he was just writing a diary entry. He was one of the most prolific symphony composers that we've ever had. Over his lifespan, he wrote 371 full symphonies. That is so many. Although he's known for his big pieces and the big sound, he also wrote string quartets. He wrote chamber music. He wrote things for just violin, piano. I think violin was his primary instrument. He wrote a bunch of other things, but 371 symphonies, that's so many. And not only was it so many, the titles were so creative and bizarre. One composition is called Rainbows of the Blue Moon. Another composition is called Just Listening. And one of my favorite titles, Flashbacking Backwardsly. Just do a Google search on his symphony names and you will be entertained. His music was not like this tight formed piece of music that we're used to, that has some form. That was not his thing. It explores texture, there's gesture, there's a lot of expression of emotion, and some of it is not like this, oh, I'm listening to this pretty music. Some of it is just friction and uncomfortable. Eventually we'll get there or not. Honestly, some of his symphonies sound more like a stream of consciousness, just writing and writing notes and hoping that it makes sense. I don't know if that's what he was actually doing. I'm just saying that's what some of it sounds like. Being such a busy man, so prolifically composing and teaching and conducting all over the world, you wouldn't think he had any time for anything else, but he did. He got married to a violinist in 1964 by the name of Hanella, and they had two kids. And then in 1999, they divorced. Then, 3 years later, in 2002, he married a harpist, and they had three children. But that one didn't last. By 2009, they were separated. I imagine, I don't know, I wasn't there. I imagine the amount of work, the amount of time he was probably not able to be there because of all the other things, probably didn't help. As his fame grew and as he became more and more well known, he was known for this huge personality and yes, so passionate about music, but he was funny. You can tell by his titles. He had a great sense of humor. He was just filled with joy and just so much emotion. But he was also a huge man. He was a big man with a wild white hair and this white beard so it would just fly all over the place. And over time, he got nicknames from people that worked with him and people that he just got nicknames. And one of them was Santa Claus. And part of that is, of course, his big belly laugh, but also how he looked. He was also known as the Jesus of music by some people, quite a few people. He never ever stopped composing, and I mean never. He was working on his 371st symphony in the hospital days before he passed away. He passed away when he was 80 years old in 2024, so just a few years ago. I think his legacy is that classical music is not just rules and traditions and how things are supposed to be. Sometimes it is about a single human being so overflowing with imagination that music just seems to pour out faster than the world seems to be able to keep up with. His music is not for everyone, but his music is grand and phenomenal. And just go and listen to some Leif Segerstam.